Coming up on the show, the summer reading program is right around the corner. We get a preview of the big event. And for those wanting to trace their family's roots, Linebaugh has a room just for you. And finally, renewing your driver's license can be quick and easy if you visit Linebaugh. We'll tell you more about it. Summer is right around the corner, and Linebaugh Library has a lot happening. Before we look ahead, we want to take a step back again in time as we continue our look at our library's origins. We take you back to when Linebaugh not only planned to move to another location, they also planned to expand outside of Murfreesboro. We'll find out where that was as we check out our Linebaugh Rewind. As the 1950s drew to a close, expansion was on the mind of library board members. Midway through 1959, news broke that the post office was planning to build a new facility. Board Chair Baxter Hobgood saw this as a big opportunity and contacted Senator Albert Gore Sr. of Linebaugh's interest in the old building. While all of this was happening, the library board was also looking to expand to a second city with a desire to open a branch in Smyrna. They met with Smyrna and Rutherford County officials, state regional library representatives, and members of a local women's literary group on the idea. By October of 1960, the Smyrna branch came to be as 2 rooms were rented in a home located on Front Street. The community came together to furnish it. Jimmy Webster became Smyrna's first branch librarian. Meanwhile, back in Murfreesboro in the summer of 1961, the deed to the old post office building on West College Street was released to city and county officials. It was to be given to the library board, and Linebaugh would soon have a new home. Not all of the news around that time was joyous. Branch librarian Mila Parsons, Linebaugh's very first librarian, resigned to take a position at Middle Tennessee State College. A new face would soon lead the charge as Linebaugh prepared to move to its next location. More on that in the next episode. For the many talented authors in this area, Linebaugh Library holds monthly book signings. This gives the community a great way to interact with and really get to know the authors, as you'll see here in the latest edition of Author.
We love our authors. We have so many local authors in the Murfreesboro area and Rutherford County that we really want to just share them with the community. Many people don't realize how much talent we have here in Rutherford County.
Cynthia Landis, a music industry veteran turned farm owner, and Michelle Shelley, a former United States Marine officer, stopped by to show off their new collaboration, their first book, titled Miracle on Montgomery Farm.
I'm a writer, I'm a playwright, and I used to be in the music industry in Nashville. And for me, somehow, you're trying to tell a story that reaches someone's heart, that reaches somebody's spirit, that reaches their mind all together. And it's kind of, it just feels really like a natural progression for me to do. Because for me, living on a farm is one thing, but I also wanted to write about it. And so it was her idea, actually, to come up to write this. And so I'm so glad. I'm so glad because it's given us a great opportunity to work together and laugh a lot.
The author's bond began after Shelley's time with the military ended.
When she got out of the military, she came to my farm and stayed there and worked there just to kind of think what she wanted to do next and what her next steps were. And she fell in love with farming. She fell in love with being outside.
The idea was born from the 2 women's love for the environment and the animals on each of their very own farms. So they used their real animals as inspiration for the premise of the book that has a cow, a lamb, and an unlikely hero, a dung beetle, saving the family farm.
We were talking about the animals on our farm and how funny they are and how much fun they are. And we wrote this story based on their actual personalities and their real names, the real names that we have for them.
The authors say this book is about more than just having fun on the farm. It gives the reader a little something extra, knowing that the stories and the characters they're reading about are real and just right down the road.
Did you know that you could renew your driver's license at Linebaugh? It's a partnership between the library and the state, and it's been well received. Branch librarian Carol Gaddis tells us more about this very important addition to the library as we hear a word from our branches.
Well, if you've ever been to the DMV, you know how crowded it is. And we were approached by the Department of Safety and Homeland Security back in 2016 to have a kiosk here at Linebaugh. We're the second kiosk in Murfreesboro. And since 2017, we have had over 1,600 people use this driver's license kiosk here at Linebaugh Public Library. Well, I think the greatest thing is how easy it is. All you have to do is scan your card, pay with your debit and credit card, and it prints out a paper receipt with your picture on it, and you get a full-sized card in the mail in 5 or 7 days. Well, they need to have their driver's license if they want to renew, so they have a picture, photo ID, and then they can pay with a credit card. That's all they need. So if you want to come by and renew your license, you can come Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., or Sundays, 1 to 6 p.m. The kiosk is located on the second floor of Linebaugh Public Library.
The second floor of the library houses a very important room for those wanting to trace their family's roots or discover the history of our great city. It's a historical research room, and it's featured in the latest segment of Staff Stuff. The Historical Research Room, located on the second floor at Linebaugh Library, is filled with resources for those looking to trace their family's roots or learn more about the history of Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. In fact, you can do research on a number of Tennessee counties and other states as well. There are over 10,000 books covering the eastern, southern, and Midwest regions of the United States. You can also find over 5,000 rolls of microfilm, including film of newspapers dating back to the 1930s and some issues as early as the 1800s. For genealogists, you'll find everything from indexes of Daily News Journal obituaries dating back to 1967, the Tennessee Death Index from 1908 to 1956, old phone books, and city directories as early as 1925. There's also computer access to the Ancestry Library Edition and Heritage Quest online. Researchers have access to district maps from years ago. Copies of books from local authors can also be found in the Historical Research Room. If you have a passion for genealogy, the Linda S. Smith Genealogical Group meets on the fourth Thursday of the month. The Historical Research Room is open during regular library hours. You can stop by the reference desk on the second floor to access the room. It's hard to believe, but the 2018 summer reading program is upon us. This wildly successful program brings so many to our local library for not only the reading program itself, but for the many events and activities that are scheduled. Miss Laura and Miss Mindy from the Youth Services Department give us a preview as we bring the fun.
Linebaugh Public Library's summer reading program will be here before you know it. The program runs from May 21st through July 27th, and the theme this year is Libraries Rock. The Youth Service Department has been busy planning events and activities that will hopefully make you believe that yes, indeed, libraries do rock.
Summer reading is all about feeding your brain, but this summer we want to offer even more. Linebaugh Public Library, in partnership with Rutherford County Schools, will be offering lunch at the library Monday through Friday. Everyone under 18 eats free.
We are thrilled to be partnering with county schools, and the timing is perfect. Every Monday through Friday, immediately after our event for the day, you can grab a bite to eat.
Mark your calendars for another fun-filled summer. See you soon.
Linebaugh's IT department is back with some helpful hints. Today, we find out what is Linux in our segment we call You Can Do It.
Hi, I'm Kevin Robertson, Systems Administrator for the Rutherford County Library System. Today I'm going to give you a brief rundown of what Linux is and how you can use it. Just like Windows and Mac OS X, Linux is an operating system, but it's free. An operating system is software that manages all of the hardware resources associated with your computer. To put it simply, the operating system manages the communication between your software and your hardware. Without the operating system, your computer wouldn't function. But Linux is an alternative to Windows and Mac that can run on almost any hardware, including those old computer towers you have sitting around in the garage. Linux was created in 1992 and is based on an older system called Unix. There are many different kinds of Linux referred to as distributions or distros. Each distro of Linux has its own unique set of features or specifications. Each distro has several versions called flavors. Again, most versions of Linux are free of charge and free to use, and most of the software you use in Linux will be open source and freely available. The two currently most popular versions of Linux are Ubuntu and Mint. These are the most widely supported with the most users worldwide, so it's a good idea for beginners to start with one of these so you have plenty of support and instruction available in case you run into any problems. Both of these are based on an older distro called Debian, which is the base system for over half of the Linux distros you'll find. To explore all the various distributions and flavors of Linux available, visit distrowatch.com and search for the features you're interested in. For instance, if you plan to mostly use your computer for streaming movies and music, search for media-rich features in a distribution, or for a media center. Or likewise, if you plan to mostly just surf the web and write papers, look for a more web-friendly distro that runs faster. To install Linux, you'll need to download the installer file called an ISO file. You'll need to burn this file to a blank CD or DVD, or flash it to a USB drive using a utility such as Image Burn, Disk Writer, or UNet Bootin. Some distros play well with some image burners better than others, so it might take you a couple of times to get it right, depending on the system you're using. Once you have your CD or USB drive ready, you'll want to figure out how to temporarily boot the target machine from an external device. This varies from computer to computer based on the manufacturer, but usually involves pressing or holding down a key during boot, like F2, F8, Escape, or Enter. You can Google your machine model to find out how to boot it from USB or CD. In many cases, your computer will automatically boot from one of these as the first boot device anyway. Once you've booted from the USB or CD, the computer will load a live version of the distro. This is a temporary tryout version of the OS that is loaded completely into the RAM of the machine without making any permanent changes. And if it runs correctly, that means your computer is compatible. Somewhere, usually on the desktop, you'll see an icon to install Linux onto your hard drive. You'll most likely be given the option to install alongside your existing operating system or do a complete erase and install from the entire hard drive. From here, the installer will ask for several setup questions like username, password, time zone, and such, and the installer will do its thing. After a few minutes, you'll be prompted to remove the CD or USB and reboot the machine. And when the computer fully reboots, your Linux OS will be installed. You can also run Linux inside of your existing operating system by using free virtualization software, such as VirtualBox or QEMU. These allow you to run Linux inside a window on top of your current operating system. It's a great way to test drive Linux if you're reluctant to do a full install, but you will have limited system resources and memory, and it may run a little slower. For information about VirtualBox, visit virtualbox.org. Once Linux is installed, you'll want to find the Software Center to load some extra software. This works like the App Store on your phone. Here you can search and find any software you need, from office and productivity to games and recording suites. After a few days with your new system, you'll start to get the hang of it. You can use the command line interface called the terminal to do many tasks such as installing new software even faster. You can search Google and YouTube for beginner tutorials on how to tweak the system to customize it to your needs, and we also periodically host a Linux for Beginners class here at Linebaugh to help you get started. Linux can be a great tool or a fun hobby, and there are several Linux users groups in the Middle Tennessee area where users meet and discuss and exchange ideas. So what are you waiting for? Research which Linux is best for you and start your weekend project today.
We talked about the upcoming summer reading program, but there's another big event coming up in May that's sure to get a big crowd. It's Free Comic Book Day. Library Supervisor Garrett Crowd tells us more in the latest upcoming events.
Free Comic Book Day is something we do every year. It's a participation in a national event. They do Free Comic Book Day at lots of different libraries and comic book stores. This is our third year to participate in it. Last year we had 750 people. This year we hope to exceed that. And what it is it's a youth literacy initiative where we give away free comics, we watch movies, we have games all day, we do cartoons and prize drawing, and it's on May 5th from 9 until 4 in the afternoon. And we're excited about doing it this year. For the first time, it'll be at all 4 branches, and there'll actually be some issues that will be specific to one branch. So if you don't go to all of our branches, you won't be able to get every single comic. We get everybody. We get older people, younger people. We had a guy last year who came and got some free comic books to give to his unit that was still back in Afghanistan. We had a grandma a couple of years ago who brought in her grandkid, excuse me, who she said he hadn't really been able to have any fun in months, and they spend all day here. So we have people varying levels of enthusiasm. Some people come in and stay for an hour and get free comic books and leave. Some people stay all day and they play the games and they watch the movies and hang out at the library the whole day. Free Comic Book Day is going to be at all branches of Linebaugh Library. It'll be May 5th from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. or until we run out of comics.
And a reminder about the 2018 Summer Reading Program, which takes place May 21st through July 27th at all branches of the Rutherford County Library System. Visit rclstn.org for more information. So that's going to wrap it up for this show. As you've seen, there's a lot to do at Linebaugh, and we haven't come close to telling you about everything else that's happening here. You can always go to their website at rclstn.org to find out about upcoming events, classes, clubs, groups, and more. Or you can stop at one of the 4 major locations: the main branch on West Vine Street, the Myrtle Glanton Lord Library, in branches in Eagleville and Smyrna. Also, be on the lookout for the library bookmobile. If you haven't been to any of our Linebaugh locations, you're missing out. From books, DVDs, activities, and so much more, take the time to visit your local library. Thanks for watching.